Hello? Sorry, 1 second. Still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Alright, cool. The sound wasn't coming through right, so I just need to check a couple things on it.
Okay, no worries.
Alright, cool. Alright, well, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. It's a great honor to be able to do this interview for you. The first one coming from North America to promote the brand new debut, which will be coming out July 15th.
Yes, that's amazing. Yep, I'm pretty excited.
So when I was looking you guys up, I noticed that you released your first EP back in 2009, but you're just putting out your first album now in 2016. What led to you coming back after this long?
Well, we went from being a 4-piece band to a 5-piece band, and I guess just trying to find our own sound was part of that time process. So yeah, it did take a bit of time to do that.
Well, that does make sense. I mean, when you're going through a transition of different band members, sometimes it takes a while to be able to get the right sound again, or just be able to work with great function again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, we went from just having one guitarist, and so we've added the second guitarist now, but I mean, it wasn't that we had found the second guitarist and then started writing his parts. We actually wrote all of the second guitar part without that person, and then had to try and find somebody that could play that. And I mean, in New Zealand, it's quite a small place, so it's not that easy to go and find somebody who's free or got the time for it, or, just can't play it or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, it was just a bit of a time process, really, yeah.
Oh yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, it's one thing to be able to send your files over the internet and find someone from across the globe to be able to do those parts, but if you want to be a full functioning band playing live shows or something like that, you need to be a little more localized.
Yeah, that's true.
So what went into the writing process for the debut?
So we do a thing called how we write our songs is we basically I guess we've made a term called jigsawing. So we might write the end of the song before the start of the song, or the middle, or whatever, and basically we try to glue all those parts together to create the song, so it might be one of us comes up with a riff idea or whatever, and then we basically we basically wrote it all out on the computer first before playing the songs as a completed song. So yeah, that's also a bit of a time consuming method. Yeah.
Would you say that was the most challenging aspect of getting the record done?
I mean, to find your own sound, and I don't know if you've listened to it all yet, but I mean, when you do, you'll see that it all sounds like the same artist, yet all the songs sound different. And I think that's what we wanted to, be able to portray, is that we can, still do whatever, but make it sound like us. And I mean, yeah, it was part of that writing process that happened. I mean, it's just, yeah, how it was. So yeah, it was pretty hard.
Oh, I imagine so. I mean, I've been able to listen to the album a few times now, which I'm very impressed by. I love the songwriting on there and the musicianship, and I love the production of it all. I think it's a fantastic debut album for you guys to hopefully break through and just be able to show that you guys are still around and doing better than ever.
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, I've been wanting to do this since I was, a young guy. I mean, I guess I'm still young now, and the rest of the band's still young too. I mean, that's all we live for, is to do good music, and I mean, it's a labor of love, trying to push yourself. There's been times where, it's been really hard, but I mean, that's what keeps it interesting, is being able to, break through those hard barriers and, come out on the other side. And I mean, yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way, really.
Yeah, and I definitely think it's paid off when I listen to the new album. It's just, I love the diversity of it as well, because like you said, that there is a lot of different sounds behind it, but it does have the core sound of what you guys are going for, but there's so much dynamic and diversity behind it, and that's something that really shines through.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's. I mean, when we did our EP, I cannot listen to that anymore. I kind of cringe and be like, but that was from when I was 19 years old. So I mean, that's cool or whatever. But with this album, this is the first time where I'm able to listen to myself and be proud and happy with what I've done, and I don't think I'll ever get sick of that, which is really great.
So when you say that, when you're having a hard time going back and listening to the first EP, what would you say are the biggest changes from the EP to the album that make you want to listen to the new album?
Well, I mean, since I'm the vocalist, I mean, hearing your own vocals, I mean, some people can't, stand their own voice, I mean, when I listen to that, I think, listen to how young I am. I mean, that was the first time I had recorded any material. I mean, there's a big voice change in it. Like, what I do now is a lot more lower to mid-range sort of stuff. And the previous material, it sounds to me like, I mean, a bit screechy, high-pitched sort of stuff. And I mean, yeah, I guess I just found what I can do, I guess, better now than what I did then. But I mean, that's all a part of the, like, learning process, really. And yeah, I mean, everything that we do kind of like locks up together, like it's all very like just I guess marries itself. I mean, like what I do with my voice, it kind of like keys in with the changes and stuff. And yeah, so what I did back then, I just can't listen to it now. But like I guess this material, yeah, just I'm proud of it. So yeah.
Oh yeah. So when did you discover that it might be better to go for the mid to low range vocal?
Well, the boys they lowered their tuning, so I guess that's how that progressed, was that they lowered the tuning and stuff, and so like I guess it just was a bit more natural for my voice to go a bit lower. But I mean, I could always do that. It's just that as we were a 4-piece and not a 5-piece, that's what I was doing back then. Yeah.
So with the sound that's going on for the new album,
yeah.
Did you feel like you had to like evolve the sound of the band more, or was it just from the new lineup where the sound changed, or how do you feel about that?
I mean, our guitarist Matt, he was writing both the guitar parts and everything. So I mean, that was the main huge dynamic change I feel that actually made the sound have a lot more diversity and dynamics to it. So as soon as we started writing with 2 guitars, we all felt like, yes, this is like a complete sound. Whereas before, when it was a 4-piece, it had like it just didn't feel as full, yeah. I don't know if you've listened to any of that material from that EP, but it's a lot different.
Oh yeah, I wasn't able to get a copy of the EP, but I did hear some stuff that was out on YouTube, and I did notice a different sound that was going on, and to me it sounds like it's a lot more focused here in 2016 with the creativity and diversity that's going on. It feels more like a full band now.
Yeah, for sure. I agree 100% with that. We've got a great drummer, Jeremy, who he's very versatile. He has so much dynamics within himself and his own playing abilities. He can pretty much play whatever style you throw at him. So yeah, it's amazing to work with some musicians that are being able to do that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, when we were talking earlier today, and you were showing me different videos from some great music that's coming out of New Zealand, some brand new stuff that I discovered, or at least new to me anyways, and then you also showed me before that videos of your drummer, Jeremy, being showing off his more technical and death metal side, and it's cool to see a lot of diversity when it comes to the drums, because I know a lot of drummers personally from where I live where they can only do the brutal death metal stuff, and they can never do the kind of groove and progressive stuff that's going on in your band. And it's great to see that drummers are striving elsewhere to try to incorporate as many different styles as you can.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's just such an awesome person, and I mean, like, we're both huge Slipknot fans, so I guess that, I mean, when you listen to stuff like Slipknot and Mudvayne and all that kind of stuff, those drummers themselves, they play a lot more styles than just their own metal. They do like jazz and all sorts of stuff. I mean, so I think for him, I mean, he just loves the drums through and through, and is just more interested in playing as much different styles as he can, as being a focus on one style, which is cool. I mean, there might be some time down the track where we might have him doing something other than what we're doing right now. I mean, there's always room for growth within progressive music. Who knows?
So, in speaking of that, was there any material that didn't make it onto the debut album that you wrote during the time for the debut album, or is it just going to be a brand new start when you get back into writing mode?
Actually, there's some like partly finished material. I don't know what we're gonna do with it. Probably cut it up and make it into something else. But yeah, we've started working on some new material already. We're trying to get ahead of the ball, you know. Yeah, we just want to keep trying to work hard, and you know, when it comes to the time that we have more material, hopefully it won't be so far down the track. It'll be a bit sooner rather than later. And I think that now that we have the second guitarist and the new drummer in place, I think that writing process will definitely be sped up. Yeah.
So have you noticed that with the new material that's being written right now? Do you feel a change yet with the new lineup?
I mean, we've only just started, you know, like dabbling in it. But I mean, no, we're still focusing on trying to get the live set down for. Got some shows coming up that we've got next month. So yeah, we're just still working on that. I mean, the drummer, he only came into the band in February, and he's learned all the songs, and so that's great. I mean, yeah, basically focusing on the live show at the moment.
And how is that going so far?
Oh, it's going good. I mean, he's a fast learner. I mean, and our second guitarist, Jerry, he's great to work with. I mean, I used to live in a flat with his sister, so that's how he came into the band. I mean, yeah, he's a great guy. He's got all the material done as well. We're just working along with, I've just got him some in-ear monitors, and so we're all working on you know, wireless setups, which is great. I really despise wires.
Oh, that definitely makes sense. I know, especially depending on the size stage, wires can be quite the hazard on the stage.
Oh man, it just gets in the way of my feet, eh? I just really, too much spaghetti on the ground. Yeah.
So, would it be safe to assume that you're just going to be focusing on the album as far as the setlist goes?
I mean, yeah, basically. I mean, we're not playing the album from start to finish, nah. I mean, when you're playing with, 4 or 5 other bands here in New Zealand, and you're doing a tour together, I mean, everyone's just got like a 45-minute slot each throughout the show. So we just do like about 6 songs, and that's enough. And I mean, there's 10 songs on the album, so, you know, we can, for the next tour, chop it and change it, swap around some songs or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. So, getting back into the album, how did you approach this lyrically?
Well, in honesty, our old drummer Rory had a huge hand in the writing process with the lyrics. So we all had a hand in the lyric writing, but now that he's not in the band, I'm mostly the lyric writer. But I mean, within Set on End, we all like the lyrics to be about something that we were all, you know, agreeing upon, or something that we all feel strongly about, or something like that. So I mean, yeah, it's all, and it's the same with the guitars or the drums or something. You know, we all sit down in the room together, and, you know, oh, how's about this way or whatever. And I mean, yeah, so with the writing process of the lyrics, I mean, the song would be mostly written instrumentally, and then, you know, we'd come up with like a topic or something or other. Then yeah, each of us would just, you know, come up with some words or a pattern or something, and yeah. So I mean, within the band, it's very group orientated. I mean, with most things, it's very it's a democracy, really. I mean, everyone, yeah, helps out in the process. I mean, but yeah, like I said, now that he's gone, and so basically I'm just the one who's doing all the writing with the lyrics. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. So, again, like I mentioned a little bit ago, we were talking earlier today. And you were showing me a ton of great music that's coming out of New Zealand, and I wasn't that overly familiar with heavy music that comes out of New Zealand. I was familiar with Legacy of Disorder when I did an interview with them a few years ago, but you showed me a ton of great progressive and kind of atmospheric music that's going on down there. Is that something that's been going on for a while, or is this a kind of new trend of incorporating this style?
I mean, I think that we all want to write music that we can enjoy ourselves, but not so much as like worrying about, I mean, current trends, or, you know, I guess that because as we get older, I mean, I'm not as angry as I was when I was, you know, in my early 20s. I mean, I'm more of a mellow person now, so I guess that with a lot of musicians, as they get older, they want to just write music that they can enjoy as well. I mean, yeah, like that band New Way Home and City of Souls and that. I mean, all those guys, they did the hard music when they were young too, and I mean, Yeah, I guess that atmospheric music is really, good for the soul, I guess. I mean, makes you feel good, and I mean, I guess that the portrayal of metal these days is that, it comes with negative connotations. People think that because you listen to metal, you're an angry person, or you don't like society, or you're suicidal, or there's just so many things that people think with metal and heavy music, which isn't the case. Like there's some of the most intelligent, kind, good people into metal and musicians that write that kind of music. So I think that when you write atmospheric metal or whatever, progressive metal, or just whatever. It goes to show that, you can do that. I mean, yeah, that's what I think. I think that people think that metal can only be one way, but it's not the case.
It's really true. I mean, in almost all 5 years that I've been interviewing bands, and you are my 204th interview to date, I can only count on one hand the amount of people that were not very positive, very happy, and very nice people that were in heavy music. I mean, whether they're talking about dark stuff lyrically or they play very brutal music, it doesn't really matter, because it shows they can incorporate just being a nice person and still be able to play heavy music and try to get rid of that connotation that you're a negative person just for playing heavy music.
I mean, for me, the reason why I started out wanting to do vocals was because, I mean, I did come from a negative place when I was younger, and just a whole bunch of things led up to me being angry and frustrated with my life and stuff. And so for me, doing the vocal style that I do, it's very, I guess, lethargic. I mean, it's like I transmute my negative feelings into the words and the voice and project it out. And for me, it's like when other people hear that, it's the same for me when I was younger and I listened to Iowa from Slipknot. When I was so pissed off and angry, I'd listen to that and it'll take away all my, anger. And so I felt like, that would be good for me as a form of, transmuting negative energy into positive energy. And I mean, yeah, I say that in that song, the last song on the record, Endeavour, we are all energy, which is true. We're all made up of the same atoms, just in different, order. I mean, so yeah, for me, it's a very positive release. I mean, yeah, I could go and do contact sports or something else, but I'm more into the art and music, so that's why I chose that.
And it makes sense, too. I mean, I've always had this impression when it comes to music that might have more negative connotations lyrically, I always find that to be a little more uplifting, because sometimes it can be a shared experience that people go through, rather than just writing or hearing music that is just about partying all the time and just always having a good time with everything. When you deal with real emotions, it can help be a good stress reliever. And when you say yourself, when you write that lyrically, sometimes that could be a good purging for yourself to be able to get those emotions out.
Yep, for sure. I mean, I've gone and done all the partying too, but I mean, that's not what I want to speak about. I mean, within the songs, I mean, it's talking about, finding yourself. I mean, stuff that I still struggle with, like finding yourself. I mean, everyone can relate to that. I mean, everyone wants to know who they are and try and find themselves, but I mean, it's one of the hardest processes in your life. I mean, that's your lifelong journey, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and then there's other things, like speaking about, corruption within the world. I mean, that's something that I'm pissed off about, just politics and how people take advantage of other people and play on their minds because they're a bit weak-minded or whatever, and, just trying to do bad things just because you're in a position of power. I mean, just because you're in that position doesn't mean you have to, but yeah.
Yeah, it's true, and coming from the United States, there's definitely a lot of that going on right now with the election coming up in just a couple months, and I'm definitely worried about the possible outcome that could happen, and I'm really just hoping for the best, and I do kind of have this feeling that the world could be torn asunder in 2017, but I'm really hoping that it won't, just because of what the United States is doing right now.
Oh man, I mean, yeah, it's a hard one. I mean, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen regardless. I mean, yeah, people like Donald Trump, I mean, they're pretty scary, bad people. I mean, to be honest, I don't think he's too smart. I mean, it's just that, like I said, he's playing on, I mean, well, I didn't specify him, but I mean, for an example, I mean, he's playing on the weak minds of, people that have ideas similar to him, or he just knows that these people are feeling like that, so he's going to play on their ideas, and that's how he can get so much, votes going, because, a lot of the world has a climate of fear, I mean, with immigration or whatever. I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible what's going on. I mean, but yeah, I think that whatever's going to happen is going to happen regardless. I think the main thing is to just look after yourself and look after your family. And yeah, I mean, I've never been to the States before, but I mean, if someone like Trump was to come in, I don't know how far I'd still want to go there. I've always wanted to go to Canada. Canada seems like a really nice country. It's I think, from all the Canadians that I've met, they're very similar to people from New Zealand. But I mean, whatever happens, yeah. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's pretty true. And like you said, the main thing you can do is just try to look after yourself. And as long as you do that, hopefully you'll be able to continue to carry on.
I mean, for like the position that I'm in, if my band does go somewhere and breaks through and all of that, then I'll more likely try to use my voice as a position of, positivity and, like trying to open people's eyes. I mean, if they want to see it, they're going to see, but I mean, there's too many people that talk about, like hate and negativity and yeah, just people like Trump. I mean, he's talking about building a wall around Mexico. What's that? That's terrible. I mean, he's not even like a native to America, and he's telling immigrants to leave America. I mean, the first people from America were the Native Americans, so... And now they're like second-class citizens in their own country.
It's true, and it's also true of the Muslim culture too, where he wants to keep out all the Muslims just because of their religion, and he's afraid of any people that could be radicalized that way, when, at least always to me, people are individuals, and I try not to follow by stereotypes, because every person is different than somebody else.
Yep, I mean, how I see it, there's good and bad people in every place in the world, like, you can't just put, because one person did this, you can't say that every person from that place that is like that is like that. That's wrong. I mean, there's good and bad people in every country, I mean, there's people that are Muslim that are some of the best people that I've ever met, I used to work with some Muslim guys, and they were pretty awesome. They'd share their meals with me if I had no lunch or something, I mean, there's good and bad people everywhere. I mean, that's just the way of the world.
Exactly. I mean, again, that's the thing that's terrible about stereotypes, is because once that idea is out there, the more weak-minded people, like you could say about the one that Donald Trump is trying to get after, once they have that notion that Muslims are bad, or illegal immigrants are bad, or whatever the case is, once they start to believe that, that's the only thing that they're going to believe, whether it's real or not. And that's a dangerous place to be.
I mean, like, if you look at it, I mean, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, America portrayed this thing to the rest of the world, which was the American dream. And I think that why so many people come to America from their own countries is because they're still trying to find the land of the free or whatever. And I mean, they're all escaping, persecution or whatever from their own countries. I mean, look at what happens in places like Mexico with the cartels and stuff. People are scared of that, and that's why they run away to get a better life, and I mean, he's talking about like how they're lazy or whatever. Some of the most hard-working people will be coming from there, doing all the jobs that, like a lot of Americans won't want to do,
It's very true, and the idea of American privilege is really so prevalent, because when you're born in America, you have this sense of pride that you're better than other people who immigrant here, so they feel like certain jobs are beneath them, while the people that come to America are willing to do those jobs just to be able to survive and try to make a better life than what they've had already. And those people work so much harder than so many other people in America do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, I think that if you can pay for your immigration, you can pay for your passport, you can pay for your right to be in that country, then you have every fucking right to be there. You can. I don't see what the problem is, you know.
I don't.
If you're hardworking and whatever, then that's cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, as long as you're willing to be able to do what you can and try to make a better life for yourself, and if you can get a job, if you're able to be able to help support whoever you're with and be able to support yourself, I see nothing wrong with being able to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the other thing that kind of scares me about a Trump presidency is not every single band is from America, and if he starts banning people, then let's say that you might not be able to even make it into America to be able to tour here, and many other bands from across the globe. We could lose contact with so many great bands wanting to play here and try to get the bigger audience.
For sure. I mean, yeah, I think that if he gets in, then something crazy is going to happen. But the likelihood is that I think that Hillary will be the one to get in. I mean, yeah. In my opinion, I don't think either of them are that great. I mean, Hillary's, like, I'm pretty sure she wants to send all the soldiers back to the Middle East or something. Yeah,
I'm curious about that, since I only have the impression of American politics being in America. What is it like over in the news in New Zealand about American politics? How is it portrayed over there?
We're very Americanized here. It's happened. I mean, we have, you know, all the fast food joints. We have all the music coming from America. Everyone wants to be like America in New Zealand. But yeah, I mean, most people that I know, everyone was going for Bernie Sanders. I mean, he spoke a lot of hope. I mean, he spoke a lot of good, and I think that for us being fed up with our own, a lot of us are fed up with our own politics here in New Zealand. I mean, we're under a national government which is run by our Prime Minister John Key. And he's very much, we are already with the guy who is like Trump. I mean, before that, he was a stock trader. He worked for the Federal Reserve Bank. His nickname is the Smiling Assassin. I mean, he got that name because he had to fire like 500 people from the Federal Reserve Bank on the last recession. And for each person that came into his office, he shook their hand and smiled and said, "You're fired." So I mean, when you got a prime minister, which is similar to a presidency, I mean, he's the one running our country. All he is, you know, caring about is money, not people. I mean, so he's sold off a lot of our assets and stuff. And I mean, like, when you compare it to America, I mean, I think that a lot of, you know, Congress, they just care about legislations and how to, you know, capitalize on, you know, humans. And I mean, yeah, it's all mostly capitalism, really. I mean, it's corporations running the government then the government runs the people, you know. So I mean, if you got the money and you are running, you know, big businesses, then you have the sway over, you know, politics. I mean, you can go and say, "Hey, I'll give you X amount of dollars," and shake your hand, and then sweet, get it written into your laws or whatever that I can go and pollute in the river because it's going to be cheaper for me, so I can make more money for my business. Stuff like that. I mean, it's just happens too often. I mean, it shouldn't happen at all, but it does. And I mean, people turn blind eyes to it, and just because of, you know, money and greed and, you know, fossil fuels. I mean, all the wars happening in the world. I mean, what's happening in Syria? I mean, that's just because that's to keep the American dream still going. I mean, you need all the oil out of that ground. I mean, that's happening in the Golan Heights, which was part of Syria, which is now part of Israel. And I mean, like, things like ISIS, they were stealing all the oil, taking it into Turkey, and then because Turkey was part of NATO, then Turkey, the president's son of Turkey was then selling all the oil to Western countries, and that's how everyone was starting to get cheap oil again, you know? So stuff like that is very not good.
And all of that is why I voted for Bernie Sanders a few months back during our state primaries, is because even if what he was going to try to do if he had a chance to become president, which he's still running, so there is still a chance, even if it's not the biggest chance, but even if what he was trying to stand for never did happen, I love the idea of trying to get money out of Congress and the government and just trying to do what's right for the people rather than what's right for the dollar.
For sure. I mean, that's how wrong we've gone, you know, like, when you care about, you know, where you stand in society with money, I mean, yeah, you need it to, I mean, well, unfortunately in this society you need it to get by, to you know, buy food and clothes and stuff. But I mean, back, you know, there was such a well, I think that people are too worried about making as much as they can because they think that being rich equals happiness, which I don't think is the case. I mean, I think that happiness equals making good memories and you know, doing good and having, you know, unique experiences and fulfilling your life with those kinds of things. I think that's more important than what's in your pocket, you know?
And that's what's about being in a band. We're bringing this all back around to being in Sets on End is because you are getting to do that right now. I mean, you're getting to put out your full-length debut coming out on July 15th, and you get signed to Artery Recordings, which is fantastic, and being able to get your name out there worldwide, being in a band that you worked so hard for so long, and going through trials and tribulations, going through different lineup, and evolving your sound, evolving your singing, and in 2016, it's slowly but surely starting to make it to that point where it was starting to become worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time coming, but I mean, never give up, never back down. I mean, it's really awesome, and I mean, being signed to Artery was, you know, the icing on the cake because I mean, it came at a time. Well, I think that it helped that we got all of our album complete and the artwork and the package, whole thing done. We did. We've made 2 music videos, and you know, when we were shopping around, like, should we try to get on a label or something, you know, to help promote this album? So we sent it out to, you know, several different labels in different countries, and Artery was the first to get back at us, and from that point on, yeah, it's been a huge help for us. I mean, if it wasn't for that, then I mean, I don't know if we would have gotten on another label. It's possible. I mean, but they replied back to us so quickly that we were just like, okay, yep, let's just go with that. And I mean, it's been great. I mean, they've helped a lot so far, and very fortunate. And yeah, I think that when it comes out, I think that it'll do pretty good, hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm very optimistic, but I mean, try to stay level-headed. I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And again, it is great that it's being a part of Artery Records because they have so many great bands of different styles in there, and it's great to see a band like Sets on End to be a part of that as well. And I've had the opportunity to promote a lot of great bands a part of Artery, and I may not have even discovered you guys if it wasn't for getting this opportunity to be able to talk to you and be able to promote the album, which I'm loving more and more every time that I listen to it. I hear little nuances that I didn't hear the time previously, and just being able to enjoy it that much more. And I hope people will be able to experience that when the album comes out in a couple weeks.
I hope that happens too. I mean, yeah, that's how much depth the album has. Sort of, I mean, it's got layers for sure. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how it's received. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, once again, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. It's a fantastic honor to be able to help promote you in America and be able to get you on my radio show with a few songs that'll be playing with the interview, and just being able to promote the debut album coming out July 15th through Artery Recordings. Before we're done here, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I haven't brought up yet?
This is my first interview. Basically, yeah, I just hope that everyone enjoys the album as much as I have, and that I hope that we can get down to we can get up to the States at some point and do some shows there. That's what I really want. I mean, I want to get out of New Zealand and play shows everywhere.